Well, we've got it. The long read on The Athletic about the story regarding the Chelsea ownership, what's really happening. I was kind of waiting for this to happen, but now Liam Twomey, Simon Johnson, and more contributors on The Athletic have spoken about this. A reputable platform with generally good information, so I look forward to learning about what the ruddy heck is going on at Chelsea with you guys here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. I hope you're doing well, really do hope that. And yes, Chelsea news, here we go. Clearlake and Bowley's marriage is at breaking point. Now, I would like to say this is the last time I speak about this, or at least I would hope it would be, but stories developing, yada, yada, yada. And of course, it's hugely important for Chelsea Football Club, its future, and just this, you know, the storylines, the blockbuster stuff. So we're going to be getting into it today. As always, thanks for joining me. Thank you for supporting the content here on the channel. Road to 200,000 subscribers. If you dig it, please do drop a like. If you want to subscribe, you're welcome to. Should you choose to do so, hit the bell. Let's get into it. All right, for reference, maybe I'll just show you the article to show you what I'm reading here essentially. Not there yet, should have put it there already. Here we go. It's The Athletic. Chelsea's ownership crisis, why Clearlake and Bowley's marriage is set at breaking point. This is what I will be citing, so do go check out the work by Twomey and Johnson. It's dramatic. Alright, let's see what's going on. The biggest story at Chelsea is finally out in the open. Okay, finally, inferring that's been going on for a while, a little more than 2 years after their £2.3 billion takeover. See, that's the real cost, the 2.3, not 4.5. That's like the committed money afterwards. Take over the club, of course, after Abramovich was sanctioned. The relationship between Clearlake Capital and Todd Bly is in tatters. Wow. Rumblings of discontent have been audible behind the scenes for some time, but specific accusations of a breakdown between Bowley and Clearlake co-founder Todd Bly, the most visible and actively engaged members of Chelsea's consortium over the past 18 months, were always denied. Until now. This new bloody microphone arm. I forget it's down here. I was trying to be dramatic. That hurt. Look forward to watching that back, because I imagine it's pretty funny. I wonder if someone will timestamp it. Okay. The relationship in tatters was always denied. Until now. Now, in the wake of a Bloomberg report last week, of course I reacted to that, revealed that Clearlake and Bowley are exploring ownership options. All parties have, for the first time, acknowledged the scale of the rift. Wow! That is pretty big, to be fair, man. People familiar with Bowley's thinking say he considers his relationship with Clearlake and Bly to be, quote, irreconcilable, end quote. That is pretty dramatic, you must say. And others claim the two men barely speak to each other. Wow. Amid the many... This is way worse than I thought it was. Amid the many other points of contention... wow. There is a broad agreement that the three factors in particular have contributed to the fracturing of Chelsea's owners. We never get calm, do we? Like, it doesn't matter who owns us, who manages us, whether we're winning, whether we're losing. My arm hurts, firstly. We're just always on the wrong side of the news. When's it going to end, Robbie? Right, let's have these 3 points of contention then. 1. A fundamental cultural difference between how the Premier League club should operate, with Clearlake and Bowley each believing the other has sought to unduly influence sporting decisions. Right, the decision to mutually part ways of head coach Pochettino at the end of last season, which exposed the first public fault lines between Bowley and the club's leadership structure. Yeah, we'll get into that, I guess. A lack of tangible progress in the stadium project over the last 2 years, with the club not yet resolved on a revamp or rebuild of Stamford Bridge or moving to nearby site Earls Court. How are we nowhere with that? This is like Roman Abramovich times we were discussing all these options. How are we still, like, not doing anything? Mental. We can reveal that a meeting took place last month when the pair decided to explore their options. Bly and associates have received approaches from investors in recent weeks with a view to buying out Clearlake. While Clearlake has aspirations to buy out Bly. Okay. Bly and associates have received so Clearlake wants to buy out Bly. We knew that already. Bly and associates, so Bly and gang, have received approaches from investors in recent weeks. Okay, right, so investors to help Bly and his friends buy out Clearlake. So they're literally trying to buy out each other. This is my club. This is child stuff. We want the toy car. No, we want it. To tell the fuller story on how things... This is wild, by the way. It's like, buckle up, man. Like, wild. To tell the fuller story of how things could have reached this point, what happens next, and how it could impact Chelsea, The Athletic have spoken to individuals on both sides. It's like a friggin' movie, bro. As well as those who have observed the breakdown in relations firsthand. All have been granted anonymity. I can never say this word. Anonymity. Yeah, we'll go with that. To enable them to speak freely. Not the protect relationships line. Alright. In the 2 years since Clearlake and Bowley's takeover, Chelsea have disrupted and dominated football's global transfer market, committing more than £1.2 billion in transfer fees and generating more than $500 million in player sales, which you must say is quite impressive in isolation. Players have been bought and sold at speed and scale that has been decisive as it has been dizzying. Yeah, it's been certainly headlines. Bowley has been a name often cited in headlines criticising Chelsea's transfer policy and is the face of online memes mocking the club for overspending or outspending their rivals while labouring in the middle of the Premier League table. I've said it loads. It's boring. Todd Bowley's Chelsea. What is Todd Bowley doing over at Chelsea? Well, it's Bowley's Chelsea. It's not. Get your facts right. Get to effing know. Do you know what I mean? However, he has not led recruitment at Stamford Bridge since January 2023, of course, when he relinquished his interim sporting director title and signalled he would step back from day-to-day responsibilities. That move coincided with the introduction of new leadership sporting team at Chelsea, of course, formally announced at the end of February last year, with Paul Winstanley, Lawrence Stewart confirmed as co-sporting directors. The winter window of 22-23 season also signalled a significant shift in the club's recruitment strategy to focus on a lot younger age, to expect lower base salaries, of course, and heavily incentivized contracts. Lower age, lower wage. We know that, right? We know that. That was the plan. Alrighty, I'm like splitting my words up here. Let's move on. But while Bowley stepped back, Eghbali remained very much active on the sporting side in that January window. Of course, he flew to Turkey with Winstanley. To get the Mykhailo Mudryk deal done for an initial 59 million. It's getting better and better. People were saying Mudryk cost 88 million, which hurts my soul. It's not true. Everyone was like, well, it's 62, rising to 88 if he wins big things. At the moment, like that. 59 basic feels a bit better. Not much better considering how he's been playing. Of course, 30 million on add-ons there as well. The two men also led negotiations that resulted, 30 million euros, shall I say, in paying a British fee record, of course, for Enzo Fernandez on deadline day, of course. 18-month stint since, Winstanley and Stewart have continued to work closely with Eghbali. And you see that. You see Eghbali in the stands. You see him, like, whispering and laughing. It's always them three. It's never Bowley. Bowley's gone. Who is more engaged with the day-to-day operations at Stamford Bridge and the Cobham training complex than any other member of the ownership group. Well, it's not going to be Feliciano, it's not going to be Hans-Jörg Wyss or whatever. As the representative of the private equity firm, of course, Clearlake owns 61.5% of the club shares and can be considered the most powerful figure at Chelsea. For long, he's been like the Abramovich guy at Chelsea, isn't he? Well, we've got loads to get through because this is really interesting. The dynamic speaks to what Bly, in Bowley's view, is the major continuing tension with Clearlake, a cultural difference between the two co-owners and how they operate. Bowley's approach, as evidenced with these MLB team, the Los Angeles Dodgers, is to hire specialists and allow them to get on with their jobs, while Clearlake, particularly Eghbali, has taken a role considered by Bowley to be micromanaging. A source close to Bowley's side described Eghbali as being obsessed with player trading. I thought that was going to be Bowley obsessed with player trading, but it's Eghbali. So Bowley's like, doesn't want to get involved. He wants to hire the right people and let them do their job, which I think he did with the LA Dodgers, but Bowley's clearly like wanting to have loads of fun and give. Eghbali seems like he wants to play Roman Abramovich. Like, all right, it's my club, I want to play, la 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 la, sort of thing. What I'm speculating what it looks like. The optics from the outside, should I say. One person familiar with Clearlake's thinking disputes this. No, this is such a childish dispute, isn't it? Insisting that Eghbali's level of engagement with Chelsea's recruitment serves only to support Winstanley and Stewart, Chelsea's sporting directors, remember, not least regarding the numbers involved in transfers and contract and structuring of deals, where his financial acumen complements their football expertise. So one of Eghbali's mates is going, nah, it's good. He's helping them. He's smart. And then, Bowley's side saying, he's getting too involved. Fight. Again, what's happening to my club? In any case, all major decisions taken at Chelsea require a sign-off from everyone. Todd Bly, Benet Eghbali, and Jose E. Feliciano. And Bowley has never exercised his veto power over transfers. This lack of open resistance, according to figures close to him, is due to a desire to pick his battles. That sounds smart to me. Similarly, there were no Clearlake checks on any of the transfer business conducting during Bowley's ill-fated tenure as interim sporting director in summer 2022. Yeah, like, whichever side you land here, that was terrible, wasn't it? Like, Aubameyang, Sterling, Koulibaly, of course, Sterling, has just been loaned to Arsenal, and we're paying half his wages for him to go and play for Arsenal. We are carrying the weight of that first transfer window, and Bowley was interim sporting director. Yet plenty have questioned the wisdom of subsidising the large part of Sterling's wages at Arsenal, as he lines up for a team likely to be one of Chelsea's direct competitors in the race for UCL qualification. Yeah, it's not a good look. The first window is remembered with regret rather than recrimination by Clearlake, conducted as it was a chaotic first weeks after an accelerated takeover, of course, driven partly in the direction by Thomas Tuchel, a head coach who they could not make work with him. Yeah, Sterling, lest we forget, Sterling, it might, you could say like, yeah, Bowley was playing interim sporting director, but those two attackers in Aubameyang and Raheem Sterling, they are Thomas Tuchel signings. 100%. Tuchel said in interviews that summer over and over and over he was the number one choice. He was my number one choice when referencing Raheem Sterling. And of course we only signed Aubameyang for Tuchel. We freaking loved Aubameyang. It was all a mistake. High wages, low upside. Pochettino was a very different case. Let's jump into that. Right, hope you're comfortable, gang. In the second half of May, speculation surrounded the Argentinian's future at Chelsea with an end-of-season review, that bloody end-of-season review, conducted by Winstanley and Stewart looming. Bowley made public pronouncements at the Sportigo conference and Qatar Economic Forum that he appeared to be an advocate of keeping him at the club. Quote from Todd Bly: "The number one thing is you've got to be patient. You are putting something together and expecting it to come together really quickly, but the reality is that anything good takes a little bit of time. Patience was always a thought for us. This is a young and exciting team that will be together for a long time. If you look at the franchises that dominate for a long time, they have real stability in the team, front office, and coaching staff." Bowley then raised eyebrows at Stamford Bridge by inviting Pochettino to a private dinner. The Friday evening before Chelsea's season-ending 2-1 home win against Bournemouth, a courtesy that the coach promptly disclosed to the journalists in the press conference, saying, "Look, if I invite you alone to have a dinner, it's not a bad thing, though. No, I don't believe that." When talking about would he be sacked, but I wonder if he did know he's going to be sacked and Bowley was giving him a heads up. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just wondering. The following Tuesday, of course, it was announced that they mutually parted ways, Poch and Chelsea, after 6 hours of discussions over 2 days. It was Cobham with Winstanley, Stewart and Igbali, while Bowley dialed in from the United States. Winstanley and Stewart had flown out to see Bowley the week before his dinner with Pochettino to explain their thinking about making a coaching change. He responded in supportive terms at the meeting, though his subsequent words and actions were construed very differently. People familiar with Todd Bowley's thinking say he wanted Chelsea to retain Pochettino, but he did not formally veto when the final decision was mutually agreed. So there you go. But again, Bowley not using his veto, picking his battle. Is the battle the shares? Is he secretly, quietly waiting, trying to take over Chelsea? Jesus. These sources add that he considers Igbali to be trigger happy and the driver of a call to move on, an accusation that was denied by his side, the Clearlake side. Why? Aren't you going to be like besties with this geezer? Like, didn't you spend time with him and you were like, yeah, let's buy Chelsea together? Now you're like, he's trigger happy. I don't like him anymore. It's just dumb. How can you look, this might be glamorized. This might be whatever, dramatized, I imagine it is to a degree, even though The Athletic, pretty darn good at reporting stuff. It just seems so dumb, doesn't it? A person familiar with Clearlake's thinking contends that it is Bowley who engaged in owner interference. It wasn't me, it was him. Attempting to put his thumb on the scale of Winstanley and Stewart's end of season review with words and actions that displayed public backing for Pochettino rather than allowing Chelsea's co-sporting directors to complete their process and arrive at their own decision, trying to influence them, he's saying. There's also belief that Clearlake's side that is being overruled by Chelsea's sporting leadership on Pochettino was the tipping point for Bowley to begin exploring his options within the ownership structure, a move that has in recent days split out into the public discourse as media reports about a potential bid to gain full control of the club. And ladies and gentlemen, enter the headlines of Civil War. Chelsea, Civil War. Jesus freaking. Right. Yeah. Okay. To get full control of the club. Sorry, my brain is melting. People familiar with Bowley's stance deny this and insist the broader cultural clash with Clearlake is driving his thinking. It's so funny. And then we asked this side, and they said, well, no, that's completely wrong. He is, in fact, the knobhead. Oh, okay, well, that's this side. Well, you say that, but these guys are a pair of friggin' gonads. And this must have been funny for Twomey, Johnson, whoever did the research, the asking for comment, as it were. Several more neutral sources, this is what we want, the neutral sources, briefed on the matter have echoed Bowley's view, suggesting the divide rests on the differing aims and objectives of the ownership groups. Sounds fine, I suppose. Well, it doesn't sound fine, it's bad, it should never have got to this, but it makes more sense. On one hand, Bowley's investment is his personal money, and he views his sporting investments as long-term, lifetime plays. Clearlake, as a fund, of course, is managing money on behalf of investors, which I guess is more a huge collective than any particular... let's look at it this way. So Todd Bowley's put loads of his own money in, hundreds of millions, I guess, or no, 100 million. Anyway, a significant amount. Whereas Igbali and Jose Feliciano are managing fund, equity in a fund or whatever, and putting that in. This will inevitably lead to diverging interests at times, particularly since the club is entering its second successive season without, of course, UCL football. The question is why the parties did not see this tension coming. This is what I'm saying when they came together to buy the club from Abramovich in 2022. The answer to that, according to people familiar with the co-owners, is that all parties under time pressure to bring together a consortium to buy a club for the auction from Abramovich, yada, yada, yada. While Clearlake and Bowley had done deals together, they had never operated a business together. A risk was taken and has flatly backfired. Yeah, bro, freaking go on holiday together. Like, you know, go camping together. Do you know what I mean? Friggin' rent something that you're both responsible for. That multi-millionaires do, or billionaires, should I say. Fucking hell. Like two freaking bagheads at a party at 5 a.m. in the toilets talking to each other like, we should start a business together. We should buy Chelsea. Yeah, we could do it. You and me. You and me. Fucking hell, man. So I apologise for that reference. Tensions between Bowley and Iqbali tested Pochettino's patience. Yeah, I bet I feel sorry for Poch now more than ever. During his tumultuous single season as head coach at Stamford Bridge and his depart... No wonder my guy just went on holiday and was like, you know what? Nah, see you later. He went on holiday straight away out to Chelsea. He's going to go and manage the US men's national team for the World Cup. Look, like, I'm kind of signed off on Pochettino not being Chelsea manager for loads of different reasons, what I'm not going to go into. But I think he's a great dude, and this dude deserves time away from whatever this is. My word. Yeah. Single season at Stamford Bridge, and the way his departure played out exposed the fault lines among the Chelsea owners, which are now fractured. Right, we're getting through it, guys. We are going to get through it. Oh, my God. On their arrival to Chelsea in 2022, Bowley and Clearlake signalled that they expected to communicate a stadium plan by the end of the calendar year. Yeah, of course. Look, we're not going to read too much about the stadium here. There's a big segment on it. If you want to go and check out the article, you can. But of course, we bought the extension outside Chelsea, Stamford Bridge. Chelsea, the new owners, they want to build a state-of-the-art as a stadium with like a fan park, and I get it, and it's, you know, more like, I do endorse a new stadium. I feel like it can be built to make Chelsea, it can be done in such a reductive way. A stadium can make Chelsea play better with a better support, built to create a better atmosphere sonically, audio wise. Yeah, maybe I think it is a good thing, and they want to do that, but they can't decide whether to expand, change site, etc., etc. So yeah, there's a lot on the stuff with the stadium. So I'm just going to jump forward a little bit here, referencing a guy, Ganon. Of course, Ganon was, and not the guy from Legend of Zelda, because I don't want him running my club. He's promoted to the club president and chief COO, in Chelsea's last executive reshuffle, of course. He's leading the stadium redevelopment project since his arrival. Several architects, including Populous, the firm responsible for building Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, have been consulted. That's good. As much as we hate Tottenham, the stadium's good. His role is not a source of tension. Bowley and Clearlake consider him the right leader to formulate a stadium plan. He's, of course, now in the management team that's been formed in the wake of Chris Jurassic's departure, which was the Chelsea CEO. But the lack of progress on the project has been a big factor in the relationship breakdown from the owners. Of course, Roman Abramovich was also trying to rebuild the stadium and expand it for a while when he was unable to leave the club. When he was unable to attend the games in Britain and England, come to Chelsea. I think there's a few reasons. He couldn't get his visa and stuff. He stopped the development plans, because we were going to get a really good stadium at one point. Right, taking a slow path forward on the stadium plan may matter less if Clearlake and Bowley are truly prepared to wait a long time to realise the return of the vast investment in Chelsea. The events of last month cast serious doubt over whether they will pursue that together. So that's the stadium. Let's keep going. During a meeting last month, Bowley and Iqbali agreed that Clearlake would explore possible buyout options in light of the breakdown in their relationship. So this is legit. This isn't a little story that's been blown out of proportion. This is Avengers Civil War stuff. Really is. People familiar with Bowley's thinking on the matter believe there will be a clear indication on the direction of travel within the next 2 months. But what does that mean? Yeah, right. What does that mean? Since the August meeting, figures familiar with the talks claim multiple parties have approached Bowley, indicating they are willing to take on Chelsea with him. Wow. Long-term investments, not people who expect short-term returns. Ideal candidates seen as passive financial backers who can provide perpetual capital. Sounds good to me. By the way, like, you can laugh at Chelsea, right, for the last season. Chelsea... it's still one of the most attractive business assets in world football Europe. Firstly, best real estate in town, in the league. You know, you can stick whatever the stadium you got up your behind, because SW6, Southwest London, Fulham is, you know, the most prime real estate probably in the league in England. And, you know, Chelsea, the only team in London with a European Cup, got loads of European trophies. You know, and now, think what you want about the young team being put together. It's going to, like, peak down the road and in value, the players and stuff. Clearlake's stance is that the future holds only two possible options: a continuation of the status quo, or a buyout that would see it take full control of Chelsea. So they don't want to go anywhere. A person familiar with the firm's thinking insists that it has no need or desire to sell its majority stake, and already has the funds to relieve Bowley and his fellow investors, Mark Walter and Hans-Jörg Wyss, of their shares if they are unwilling to continue their existing relationship. So yeah, so Clearlake is saying, mate, like, we will buy your shares and be the big boy at the park. We'll just own Chelsea fully, you know? We will be the Glazers of Saltinius now, but, you know, the Glazers recently, the Cronkies, the whoever, you know, we will be that guy. Crazy. A person familiar with the firm's thinking insists that it's no need or desire to sell. Sorry, I've read that bit. They'll take it all. There's a suspicion on the Clearlake side that this schism is being played out in the public domain is actually a ploy to disguise the true motive of Bowley's camp, which they believe is an attempt to put pressure on them to make a big offer to purchase his stake. Absolutely chicken oriental. But Bowley's recent actions are not those of a man who appears to be losing interest. The billionaire keeps his distance more than before, but asks for updates regularly on what's happening at Chelsea, with sources saying regular communication takes place with him and Winstanley and Stewart. I mean, I don't have much sympathy for the sporting directors. I'm not demonizing them like a lot of people, but this can't be easy for them, bro. They've been hired to do a job. To their perception, they're doing their job. They probably think they're doing it really well. And they got to deal with this crazy scenario with the owners. He flew in for Chelsea's opening against Man City and would have attended the 6-2 victory at Wolverhampton Wanderers, but it clashed with a personal engagement where he was constantly provided with match updates. Didn't he? But you guys have told me in the comments that he left the Man City game, that he, like, frustratedly left. Don't know. In the summer, Bowley travelled to South Carolina to observe a training camp by the Real Madrid Foundation. Seeing youngsters in training, the Real Madrid kit led Bowley to consider the possibility of setting up mini academies for Chelsea around the world. Such a scheme will require long-term planning. Yeah, fine. I mean, as long as it's sustainable, then fine. Both sides have matching rights and veto powers regarding the potential offers from outside investors. Clearlake can therefore creditably argue that all roads must go through it, the majority shareholder, but Bowley and others also have a measure of protection against any changes. So yeah, they all need to agree on everything, basically. One can't do anything without the other. Right, it's a long last video. We're nearly there. Jesus. It's also important to note that not all Chelsea shares are created equal. Clearlake shares are Class A, while senior of those Bowley and his co-investments are Class B Junior. Oh, they've been little broed, meaning the latter are exposed to first loss if the club lose value. Despite this difference in shares, however, Bowley, Walter and Weiss would all be guaranteed the same rate of return on selling their stakes as Iqbali and Feliciano and Clearlake. Okay, interesting. Exploring all the mechanics of selling is appropriate because while the events of recent days have been described as the breakout of civil war in the boardroom, it's every bit as likely to be a bruising prelude of a fierce negotiation. Clearlake and Bowley have set out their respective stores, but posturing with an exaggerated level of conviction is part of high-level business. It's just part of the game, baby. What happens if Clearlake offers Bowley, Walter, and Vice a financial off-ramp to start again at another club with more agreeable partners? That's true, because if they want to stay in football, they could all go and buy another. I mean, I pick your club. What happens if Bowley's group finds new backing that presents Clearlake investors with a handsome return on an investment of a painful 2 years of running Chelsea? Like, take your money and go. We want Chelsea. I love Chelsea. And remember, Bowley tried to buy Chelsea before. I'm pretty sure in 2018 he made an inquiry. So Bowley might be like, I don't want to go anywhere. Let's just massively give them money. Clearlake are money people. Let's give them the money. Let's get them out. Let's run Chelsea. This is literally like an Avengers movie. Neither party is going on the record to clearly state their intentions and reassure the club's supporters. They never friggin' do anyway, so I'm not surprised about that. Nobody knows or how or when it will end. What is clear, however, is that the public litigation of these grievances only deepens the sense of disorienting instability Chelsea have failed to escape since the forced sale sign went up outside Stamford Bridge 2 years ago. Oh, well written. Dramatique. Chelsea. So very, very Chelsea. All right, mate. What the... Oh, Jesus. This is much worse than I thought it was. I mean, what's going to happen to us? Do you know what I mean? Like, this is insane. I mean, for me, yeah. Immediate reaction, I feel like maybe Clearlake will buy out Bowley, Viss, and Walter, and they'll go and buy another club together, and Clearlake will just be owned by Clearlake. It'll be Clearlake's Chelsea. I know Bowley wants to keep Chelsea. People want to take sides. I can't even think about taking a side. Like, because Bowley's the guy that I was backing early doors over the other candidates to buy Chelsea. But then I've seen him... But he's become the meme. He's, in a way, I'd like, and completely unfairly in many ways. I mean, I don't know if he did try and do a 4-4-3 formation. We know he was the interim sporting director of a disastrous transfer window, so he's got to take that L. And we are just being alleviated of Todd Bowley's an idiot at Chelsea. It'd be nice for them to be like, oh, he didn't really own Chelsea. We're the idiots. But that's obviously quite minor. Look, this story is huge. I'm going to take some time to percolate on it. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. It's been a really long video. It's been a long talking point. There's lots I've missed out in the article. It's behind the paywall. It's about the stadium mainly. Go check that out. Let me know what you think. Keep it locked. Peace.